Hey you, wherever you are in the world right now, thank you so much for being here with me. We know that we're living in some volatile times and we know that the world is changing. So let's create a bridge as we travel through one another's countries, removing all the labels, coming together as one people, finding our home in one world. And as we do this is why it is so important that we have this signature talk today about ways to improve our mindset. So as we settle in, let's jump right in. And I'm so excited today to welcome my guest, Paul Forchione. How are you, Paul?
I'm well, Catherine. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my message with all your viewers.
Absolutely. And Paul actually was born with cerebral palsy. It was so severe that his doctors told his mom that he would never be able to walk. And I can't even imagine what that would be as a mom. Thank goodness that your mom was so wonderful and she had such a wonderful mindset that this wasn't your destiny. But Paul was also able to overcome it and live a very active life, even though it wasn't easy. So tell us a little bit of that, Paul.
All right, Catherine. Well, as you talked about, this started at birth as an infant. And if your viewers don't know what cerebral palsy is, it's basically blockage in the brain by oxygen. And because of that, it happens at labor. It can lead you to be paralyzed. You could mess up your speech. It could hurt your motor skills, and it's permanent. It's a permanent disability. And like you mentioned, apparently it was so severe that the doctors told my mom that I would never be able to walk and I would be subject to a wheelchair the rest of my life. Well, thank goodness for a great mom. She didn't accept that diagnosis. She got a second, third, fourth, fifth opinion. Finally came across a doctor that was willing to help us. And that basically started my journey as a child for the first 10 years of my life, with physical therapy pretty much every single day. My first break was when I was 3, and I really don't remember this, but I was able to walk. So I was able to prove the doctor wrong right there, being able to walk. But I do remember being 5 and put into soccer for the first time and feeling a little defeated that all these other kids could do laps. And I was only able to run 25, 50 yards, and having my dad tell the coach, my boy can only run to the light post and back. That's the best he could do. Yearning to just fit in with the other kids. I just wasn't able to do it at the time. I did get my second break when I was 7. I got an operation on my foot to give me a little bit more spring in my step and to give me a little bit more mobility. And I didn't test out running just yet, but I switched schools around that same time. And I'll never forget this. My first day of physical education, PE, after stretching, the doctors, or not the doctors, but the teachers told us to run a lap. And I'm thinking to myself, here we go again. I'm going to stand out. All these kids are going to start teasing me again because I can't run more than 25, 50 yards. But something different happened this time. I was able to keep going past that 20 and 50-yard marker. And I just felt so great, and I was rooting for myself. I'm like, come on, Paul, keep going, buddy. You got this, you got this. And I was able to finish with the other kids. And on the outside, I kept it cool, but on the inside, I was like, yes, yes, yes. Finally, the first time in my life where I didn't stick out, that I could just blend in with the other kids. Well, after that, things did get easier, but I wouldn't consider them easy. I switched schools again when I got into junior high, and junior high is a tough age to be a new kid with no disability, but adding a disability and being a new kid, it was brutal. I was bullied, teased pretty much every single day, and I remember going in my room and crying, pretty much every night, going, why me? Why do I have to be different? Why can't I just be one of the other kids? And I don't know what came over me, but about midway through my 8th grade, I was sick of being sad, sick of feeling sorry for myself. So I thought to myself, what could I do? How could I change this narrative? How could I distract myself? So I thought to myself, what if I set a goal for myself so that I could focus on the goal and not worry about what other people were thinking about me or teasing me and such. So I thought to myself, what could my goal be? And I thought, well, I did love baseball, so I thought maybe I could set a goal to make my varsity baseball team in high school. So from then on out, I would play fall ball, spring ball, winter ball, and if I wasn't doing that, I was throwing a tennis ball against the wall, and I was doing that every single day. And something miraculous happened to me because of that. Because I changed my mindset about what I wanted to do, kids changed their mindset about me. Instead of bullying me, they started rooting for me. And I'm proud to say that I was able to make my varsity baseball team my junior and then my senior year. And I used that mindset going forward in my life. I remember graduating college, really not knowing what I wanted to do, like most 22, 23-year-old kids don't. So I had a family friend that got me into the mortgage industry. And I really liked it for many, many years. And then 2008, 2009 hit, and the economy changed. They put more regulations on us. And I kind of lost the fire for it because I couldn't really focus on the client anymore. I was just worried about what I had to say. Like, for instance, I had to say my mortgage license number. And if I didn't say my mortgage license number and they had a secret shopper calling me just randomly, asking me about rates, and I didn't say my license number, I could get in trouble. And I could do that if I got too many misses, then I could get fired. So I stopped focusing on what the client wanted, and I was just focusing on what I had to say. So I was just losing that personal connection. And I remember about 6 years ago, they brought in this motivational speaker to talk to us, and he was awesome. He blew me away. His presentation was great. So I took the time after the presentation to tell him that. It was awesome, and picked his brain about how he got into being a speaker. And he was gracious, and I thought to myself, well, why don't I try to get into that realm? So I got my certificate in coaching, and then I put it out in the universe that I wanted to be a mindset coach. And I made some financial changes because obviously starting a new business, obviously you're not going to make very much money. You may even lose money. So I paid off some debts so that I'm living pretty much debt free. And I've taken the leap of faith, and I am now a full-time mindset coach, and I'm here talking to you now.
That is an incredible story. Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to take our audience back to when you were young. And I know you said you had some significant milestones, like when you were 7. And I just wondered, you pay this tribute to your mom. So how was your mom instrumental in helping you to change your mindset back when you were young?
Well, I can't say enough good things about my mom. She was my voice when I was an infant. I didn't have a voice. She was my voice. And because of her, I'm able to walk today and live a very, very active life. So I owe a lot to my mom on that. And my mom instilled in me that no excuse mentality. It was hard for me, like putting me into soccer, not being able to run that very far. I wanted to quit, and my mom said, no, we put you in there. You need to at least finish out the season. You have a commitment to upheld, and the commitment was the season. So after the season, if you don't want to play again, that's fine, but you got to commit to it. And that's kind of how I've lived my life on anything I do. I honor my commitments because that's what she instilled in me. And that's kind of what I go over with my clients too, that, suffer from different things, and, to honor your appointments that you make. They may not be easy, and some stuff may be hard for you, but it's very important that you honor what you've promised to other people.
Right. And I know right now in the state of the world where there's a lot of uncertainty and people are just not really sure, what to expect. And especially for the kids. I mean, there's a lot of kids that are living in this world. And one of the things that you said was that this idea of blending in junior high school and just having this mentality, or mind mentality of, you've got this. So how was it that you were able to blend in when you were feeling so different?
Well, it was very hard to blend in. I really didn't blend, especially in junior high. I really didn't blend in because I was the new kid with a disability. So I definitely stood out, and I definitely was bullied and teased. But like I said, I set a goal for myself not to focus in on that negative noise that was going on, and just focusing on what my goal was, and at the time was to make the baseball team. So I really, to answer your question, I really never blended in junior high. I just focused in, eventually focused in on something positive, and that helped me through that tough time of not blending in with the other kids. So yeah, I really never felt that I belonged in junior high. I started to get my groove when I got into high school, and with the goal of making the baseball team. But in junior high, I really felt like I never got my groove as far as blending in with the other kids.
Yeah, and I think in junior high school, that's a very natural kind of thing when people are going through that period of time in their life, just because they're experiencing puberty, and maybe they've moved to different schools, or maybe their parents went through a divorce. There's a lot of upheaval that seems to occur during those junior high school years. So I like that you said that you really didn't blend in, because I think that's how everybody feels when they're in that period of time. And I think that's important for anyone in the audience who may be in junior high school to understand that, everyone is not really feeling like they blend in per se. So I really appreciate that message. The idea of, just having a goal that you had mentioned, and just putting your mind onto something else that was positive. I think that's really a strong message, especially when we're faced with so much uncertainty at this point in time. So what would be your suggestion to maybe parents or kids that are listening to your podcast right now around having positivity and maybe having some goals?
Okay. Well, I think both for kids and adults, this is important, is having gratitude. And what I mean by that is, when you wake up in the morning, before you grab your phone, check your social media, turn the TV on, turn the radio on, or whatever your morning routine is, waking up in the morning, sit there for a second and think about things that you're grateful for. Kids and adults, think about what you're grateful for and focus in on that. It could be for a kid, it could be a great friend. You like your sense of humor, you like history class or whatever it is, and then focus in on that. Same thing with an adult. It could be you love your spouse, you love your kids, you love your job, whatever it is. It starts your day off at a better foot, and you'll start to focus in on the positive things that happen through your day as opposed to negatives, because you could do the exact opposite. You could focus in on the negative, and you could, something bad could happen during your day, and you could say, just my luck. Bad luck always happens to me. Yeah, bad luck always happens to you because you're focusing in on that negativity. You could do this very same thing with the positivity. Focus in, look at this. I just got a coupon for Starbucks on my phone. My day's even better now. Or you know what? A friend just gave me a candy bar at school, and it's my favorite flavor. And that was very nice of my friend to doing that, or whatever it is. Really think about that, embracing that, those positive things that happen during your day. I think it's very, very important, especially you mentioned, with COVID, there's a lot of negativity in the air, but there's still positive things that you could focus in on. And that's my message.
Yeah, that's a great message. And I think living in a space of gratitude is so powerful. It just shifts your vision of the world completely. So I love that message as well. Now, I know when you had reached high school and even beyond, you really looked at your life in a can-do way, which is a very positive, inspirational message, I think, as well. Your idea of, just putting in practice is so important too. You talked about just really practicing what it is that you were doing to bring your success. And I think a lot of times, especially in a world that everything is so instantaneous and people just want things really fast, I mean, talk a little bit to that piece. I mean, you had to really work hard to overcome this part of you that, you know, literally was shutting down, and you had to persevere through that. I know with the help of your mom from a very early age, but then you continue to take that throughout your life. So just talk to that a little bit.
Yes, you mentioned it. You know, in this day and age, it's, you know, everything's instantaneous. You want it now with everything on your phone and everything like that, and that's very important that you share that, because one of the biggest virtues that people need to have, I think, is patience. We want everything right then and now, but we need to have patience, and that's huge. You know, and on side piece of that, you need to embrace the actual journey, and that's what I did. And I can use an analogy for you on this. You know, when you see a kid building Legos, the best time that he's doing is actually, he or she is when they're actually building the Legos. You know, yeah, they may have a fun moment sharing to their mom and dad what they built, but when they're having the actual fun is when they're actually building, when they're living the journey. And I think that's very important. If you have a goal or something in mind, you need to embrace the process of getting there. You have to embrace what's called the present. Embrace it and enjoy it, because there's so many times where people put their head down, and even if they accomplish the goal, they never enjoyed it, and they look back and go, oh boy, where'd those 5 years go? Those 5 years went by because you didn't actually take a step back and then actually enjoyed it, because you're so focused on the goal, you never enjoyed the actual process. And that's the most important part, is enjoying the process, because you may never accomplish the goal, but you may have enjoyed the journey and learned so many lessons on the way, and it may have turned you to a different avenue. By going on this journey, you decide, oh, you know what, I don't want to do this goal. Now I want to do this goal because I've started this journey and I realized this is actually what I really wanted, not this. And I think it's very powerful that we live in the present and we enjoy the now, because the past is the past and the future is not guaranteed.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I hear so many people today just living in a space of not really wanting to be where they are today, because there is so much negativity that is surrounding the globe. And that saddens me, because it's such a special time. It's such a special time to, you know, turn inward and do some self-reflection, maybe do some self-growth, look at opportunities of ways to grow. So I love that you're able to spend this time with us and talk about just finding ways to improve your mindset through the gratitude, through the patience, and just being present in the world as it is, even if it feels uncomfortable. Because I think when we're uncomfortable, that's when we grow. That's when we change. And even though it feels uncomfortable, you can still enjoy it, as you say. You can still enjoy it. Just find those things that help you to enjoy it. So this is amazing. Is there any other message you would like to share with your audience?
You kind of mentioned it. I think it's important that you feel comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's where you grow, is in those uncomfortable times, you know. And it could be as simple, you know, for a kid, it could be as simple as talking to somebody that you don't normally talk to, putting yourself out there and just having a conversation with a kid that you normally wouldn't have a conversation with, because you're, you know, so worried about what they're going to think. Don't worry about that. Reach out to somebody. If they have a nice sweater, tell them they have a nice sweater. You like their shoes? Tell them they have nice shoes. Tell them that, you know, they have a nice smile. Whatever it is, you don't know how much that's going to help the other person. You just mentioned that to them, you know, especially as somebody in junior high. If you say something like that to somebody, other kids, they may not say it outward, but inward, that's really going to affect them in a positive way. And you might have made their day just by saying something simple as that. So I think that's very important that we grow. We get in that uncomfortable space and we grow that uncomfortable space. And then once you're comfortable with that, grow it more. Keep moving forward. having progress step by step by step.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that idea of the progress, because your story is a testament of that. Like, you weren't supposed to be able to walk, and now all the things that you're able to do, and it's just shifting your mindset. So very powerful. I have one last question for you. If I were to pick up your angel feather off the ground, what would your message to the world be, Paul?
If you believe you can achieve, everybody has something unique that they can share with the world. And what we have to do is just find it. And once we find it, share it with the world, because you're going to help somebody out with that special power that you have, that you possess. And if you haven't found it yet, don't worry. Just keep searching. You'll find it. It'll happen for you. And be okay with it changing, because your personality changes from your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So sometimes you have to reinvent yourself and find your new passion. And once you find that passion, I want you to share it with everybody so that they can see that great person that you really are.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. So today, Paul actually works as a mindset coach, and he shares his story with clients to overcome obstacles in their lives. And if you would like to connect with Paul, you can reach him at acalltoaction.coach. That's all we have time for today. This is Catherine Daniels reminding you to live your authentic life with peace and retreat to peace. Welcome back. And oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about. I mean, when you're creating a mindset, it is an incredible journey, because it really is something that you take ownership of. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was I am actually getting some reports of, brace yourself, I'm getting some reports that there's a possibility that we may have a climate control lockdown globally. My understanding is that we are hearing that people that are in this arena want a position to be able to do something for the planet, and are pushing this to have people around the world, literally go into a shutdown mode, like we've experienced over 2020 and 2021. So part of my conversation with you today, and thank you so much for being with me, is just to talk about this. And I'm sure as you're taking this information in, you're probably like bracing yourself with, oh my goodness, right? What is this going to do? How is this going to change my life? Can I handle it? I mean, there's so many questions that could be swirling through you. And I've had a few people reach out to me and email me at retreattopeacellc@gmail.com. And in some of their emails, I'm hearing conversations around how this last year and a half has changed their life. I mean, we went into a territory that I think most people were never, ever expecting. And all of this generation of getting into a space of being in your truest form, in your authentic space, is really so that you can live with a authentic lifestyle within your heart and with your people you love, everything. It's really, really important that now more than ever, we remain very grounded and very mindful of the fact that there is a lot of evil that's at work and at play. But it's also important that we're remaining grounded. And I know some days for myself, it feels like, wow, this is an incredibly long day. It just feels like when I go to sleep at night, sometimes, I don't even feel like I've slept at all. There's other times that I have trouble sleeping, or there's times where I'm up most of the night because I'm just, bombarded with different energies. And I think it's really interesting that we are aware of how it is we're sleeping and if we're recharging. I've shared this in the past. One of the things that I do at night is when I'm getting ready to settle in from my day, I close my eyes and I literally put myself in a shield of protection and just ask for that shield to protect me through the night. As a little girl, I remember, just saying a small prayer that I would say nightly, just a, similar kind of thing. And whatever you do, I encourage you to continue to do that. I think it's really important that we recognize, what it is that we're feeling within our bodies and what it is that we're going through. I've said over and over and over that these periods of times that we're going through a lot of change and a lot of processing, a lot of when we're going through significant things and significant changes in our life, it really does get stored on the cellular level in our bodies. And it's really, really important that we are mindful of that and that we're removing that from our memory in our bodies. I was just thinking the other day, when I was a little girl, I used to spend hours and hours and hours in the forest. And it has been scientifically proven that your serotonin level, which is your happy level, which is associated for your happiness, it actually is boosted pretty significantly. And the blood increased in serotonin, especially in women, when they spent time in the forest compared to someone who is in a city environment. And serotonin, literally, like, if they have shown it to significantly increase if you're spending like 3 days in a forest compared to 3 days in the city. And I think this is really good information because I know for myself, when I really need a recharge, that's the first thing I do. I go and get outside. I get outside and get myself grounded. I actually, will take a blanket sometimes in the summertime and just barefoot and all, I would lay on the ground just like I did when I was a little girl. And I'd look up at the clouds. I would imagine what it would be like out in other universes and beyond what I could physically see as a little girl, and just let my imagination kind of run wild. And what I had no idea of was that just laying on the ground like that as a small child, I was actually reversing a lot of trauma that was being housed in my cells. And I was letting Mother Earth to really work her magic through my body. And this really is a testament of how perfectly humans are made, that we are designed to literally be healed by Mother Earth. And how many times have we talked about this throughout the show? How many times have I brought guests in and they've shared that very thing, whether it's eating an organic diet, whether it's having vitamin D with the sunshine, whether it's, just the fuel that you get in your body, just living in a very organic state with your life and what it is that you're doing externally, but internally. And part of that internal part of it, as we had heard with Paul, is your mindset. One of the things that I think is really, really important is that we do kind of clear the table and we recognize that there's a lot of things that are just taken off the table as far as what we can control. And one of the things that I think is really, really important, especially now, is recognizing that you do have control over your thoughts. You do have control over what it is that you choose to think, what it is that you want to take in, what it is that you want to release, right? So one of the things that I would encourage you to do is, if we are going to go into a state of climate lockdown, that we really are taking the reins and gathering what it is that we can control. So I know every year I've always put together a vision board. I put together a vision board that is going to give me short-term goals, intermediate goals, and long-term goals. And It's interesting because I have had to shift and pivot all of those goals because of the things that have occurred. Now, when I look back on, a year and a half ago or 2 years ago and where I am today, it's really interesting that my life has changed and has shifted, but I can honestly say it's shifted for the better. It's changed for the better in all aspects. I mean, there's a lot of things that I was able to release. There was a lot of things that I could do to help support other people in their changes and what it was they were experiencing. But maybe now, as we're mid year, almost mid year of the calendar year, maybe now is a good time to make a vision board. If you don't know how to make a vision board, just gather up some magazines, or you can draw, or whatever it is that you'd like to do, and just get a board together, poster board, and just put phrases and pictures and things that are going to energize you and make you feel good and make you feel happy and remind you of your purpose and what it is that you're doing. If you're not sure, here's what I would suggest. Get a piece of paper out and write down 5 things that you absolutely love to do and 5 things that make you really happy. And then marry those 2 things up and take the top of the list as far as the things that are the same, and use that to help you be in your authentic space, whatever that means for you. The vision board, you want to put this in a place that you're going to see it every single day. I always put mine in my bedroom. And the reason I put it in my bedroom is because I can put it on the back of my bedroom door, and it doesn't matter what is going on. I always know that it's there. And when the door is closed, it's right there in my face. I don't even have to look at it. Other people don't have to see it, but I know it's there. And subconsciously, just by knowing it's there, just by glancing at it, once a day or whatever, I'm actually manifesting what it is that I want to create in my life. And those goals, I'm actually manifesting that. I don't really know what the plan is, or what God, higher power, universe, whatever you want to put on it. I don't know exactly how it's going to unfold for me, but having it out in the space of the universe and putting it on a concrete poster board and saying, this is what I'd like to manifest, or this is my heart's desire, it changes the game, because it literally allows you to go into a space where now you're just operating through life, but you have an awareness in your subconscious where you're recognizing and looking for opportunity. Opportunity is such a beautiful word as far as I'm concerned. And I know a lot of people who have had a lot of difficulty with their relationships. I know a lot of people who have had a lot of difficulty with employment, with a lot of different aspects of their life. But if you're looking at these particular components of your life, and instead of seeing them as challenging aspects, or there's something that's creating a hard stop for you, or something that is not working for you, recognize that it's not working and let it go, and look at it instead with a different, fresh perspective of, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to pivot and shift. This is an opportunity to grow. This is an opportunity to let go, whatever that is. Understand that this is manifesting your soul and your purpose and your journey for this lifetime, and it's shifting you into a new direction. So don't get angry about it. Don't put attachment of negativity towards it. Instead, have gratitude and thank the experience. Thank the experience for gifting into your life. And I know that's hard to hear, especially if you've had really, really bad experiences. I totally understand. And I've been there. But what I can tell you is that is part of the journey. We all have bad experiences. We all have a cross to bear, as they would say. But it's how we respond, it's what we do with it. So, one of the things that I was thinking about was okay, they're potentially going to put together this climate lockdown. So, what can I do? What can I put together now in preparedness if this were to come to be for myself, my family, and just have a different lens on it? Because once again, this is going to create opportunity. And do you know when opportunity is created, that's when we get the biggest shifts. That's when we get to see what people come up with as far as innovative designs and art and culture and all kinds of things that manifest into the world. So, what is it that you can do in your small part as far as manifesting what it is that you desire? I was watching a show a while ago and I found it very interesting. It was actually one of the old Twilight Zone shows, and the whole half-hour series was about this man who was collecting books because, he wanted to make sure that he could read, and he was doing all of this stuff. And in the show, his glasses break, and he gets to a place where he has this abundance of books, but then his glasses break and he's just devastated. And I feel like that's kind of what we've been experiencing, is that we've been going down this road and we have these expectations, and maybe we're thinking certain thoughts that maybe are going to manifest for us, and then it doesn't come to fruition. And when it doesn't come to fruition, now we're in a situation where, like, okay, do we continue or do we stop? What do we do? So, of course, it's a personal decision as far as what you choose to do, but ask for guidance, ask for signs, ask for direction. I do this all the time. I actually did this yesterday. I was really stressed with a lot of different things that were hitting me all at once. And I could feel it in my body. I could feel my body getting heavy and tense and just, really stressed. And I dropped everything and I told everybody that I'm just going to take a time out. And I went for a drive. I went to a park that has lots and lots of woods. And I just went into the woods and sat by the water. And I did a breathing exercise that helps you get present, which is you want to breathe in for 4 seconds and then hold it for 4 seconds and then release it for 4 seconds. And if you do that 4 times, if you're experiencing anxiety or anything that's going to feel uncomfortable for you, this is actually going to help release that stress in the body, and it's going to center you. It's going to get you to a place where you're not feeling so heightened, and it's going to allow you to relax a little bit. So as you do this, you get your body to calm down and get relaxed. And my body just changed. It just felt so much better. So much better. And I just felt like it was well worth it, just taking that small drive and getting into the forest and getting in a place where I could, clear my head. But here's the interesting thing. I'm walking on a path, and I do a lot of praying when I'm walking. And I literally was talking to God, and I said, God, I need some help here. I need some direction, I need some guidance. And I asked for a sign. And not even kidding, within seconds, 10 feet ahead of me, this beautiful rabbit pops out, looks at me, and scoots across the trail right in front of me. And I was like, thank you, thank you. Thank you for acknowledging you're with me. Thank you for acknowledging that you're recognizing that I need you and I need some help here because sometimes this stuff feels too big to take on by ourselves. But when you put it in perspective and you realize you're not alone, then it does allow you to feel a little bit better. So as I continued further, I was giving thanks and gratitude, and I was just asking some questions. And again, I look ahead, and there now is this little baby bunny that shoots across my path. And I just smiled and laughed and said, thank you. Because again, what it did for me is it reminded me that I'm in a space and time where things are changing, things are pivoting, and guess what? It's going to be new. It's going to feel different. It's going to be okay. But that's part of growth. And the fact that the baby bunny was in front of me, it was definitely full awareness of, yes, there's new beginnings. And we're on the precipice of some changes around the globe. And I get reports all the time from people around the globe. And I know people are experiencing a lot of hardship and difficulty. And they really feel like they don't know. They don't know how much they have. But I'm telling you, you do have it. You do have it. And just stay present. Stay present and keep mindful of what you can control and what you can't control. The other thing that people are saying to me is that they are finding themselves to be in the space, especially if you're in Europe, where you are continuing with a lockdown, Canada continuing a lockdown. If you're in these places, you're probably feeling more restricted and probably feeling like you have less control over things. And one of the things that is really important is just to remain mindful of your vibration. Where is your vibration sitting right now? Are you feeling like you're in a space that is dark, or do you feel like you're living in a space where it's kind of neutral and you're able to take things in and let things go, and it's not held within you? Or are you in a space where you're more living in joy? Are you living in a space where the day to day is not feeling so heavy? So I think it's important to be mindful of where it is that you're sitting, what it is that you're sitting in. And for some people, you may need to just take account for where it is that you are. So for example, get a piece of paper, get a pencil, journal it out. You could always do a list of things that are going really well and a list of things that are not going so well. And then look at your list and consider, what can you do with this? And look at the things that are going really well and maybe continue them. But the things that aren't going so well, maybe revisit them and look at ways, again, these are opportunities to make some subtle changes. And it could be, for personal relationships, maybe it's just maybe your approach, your vision on the relationship. I think it's important to be mindful of your authentic self, what it is that you need for you personally, and what it is that you need for your own personal growth. I know a lot of women struggle with this, especially if you're a young mom or you're a woman who is older and your kids have already transitioned into adulthood and maybe are going into, a different realm of life where now you're alone and you're trying to figure out what it is that you do with the next phase of your life. Life is going to be change. It's going to constantly evolve and constantly change. That's something that's never going to stop. But I think it's important that we be mindful of this, but also look at it as an opportunity to learn new things. And maybe during this period of time, we look at things that we would like to do. So maybe we want to learn a new instrument, or maybe we want to take up a new hobby. Maybe there's something that we've always thought about doing, but we haven't done it yet. So what would that be for you? What is it that you would like to do that maybe you've never done before? I think this is so important for our own ascension with our souls, but also, our own personal growth journey. And as part of that, just exploring who we are internally and allowing us to move forward. So, as you go through this process, it is an opportunity for you to be engaged with yourself, but also remaining present, because when you learn something new, it forces you to be in the moment to learn something. It's also really expanding your breadth of knowledge, which is really good for your brain, and it's providing a distraction. I know years and years ago, I was in a situation where my marriage was just falling apart, and I had children that I was taking care of, and I was looking for an outlet, a way to try to let some of my stress go. And I did a couple of things. I started to run. I was running miles and miles and miles, just to get rid of the stress. That was something that I did physically just to remove the stress. But then the other thing I did just to become more present and mindful was I decided I was going to take up some needlework. And the reason that I chose to do that is because it was something small. It was something tangible that I could actually touch, I could work with. It didn't take up a lot of space or a lot of room. And literally, it gave me an opportunity just to be present in that moment, in that space. With the needlework, I actually was able to pick things that brought me joy. So I picked some pictures that provided me joy, something that I wanted to finish because it was special to me, it had meaning to me, and when I looked at it, it made me happy. And I just remember as I was working on a few of these pieces that just the process of working through it and putting it together and just creating a goal that I was going to get this done at a certain period of time, and maybe I was going to give it away as a gift, maybe I was going to keep it, but it just brought me joy. And I know a lot of people use this creative measure for themselves. I know a lot of people, they'll knit, they'll crochet, they'll draw, they'll paint, they'll do these different things. Next week, I actually have a guest that will be coming to Retreat to Peace to speak around awakening that creative within. So that part of you that you want to stir up, that part of you that you're just not sure how to get it stirred up and what to do with it. My speaker next week is going to come to us, and she's going to talk all about that. So Priscilla George will be here, and I hope you'll join us for that, because I think it's so, so important, especially now when we're feeling this loss of control and not really sure what to do, that we are using something that we have within our space, that we have within ourselves, that we can do and create and still have appreciation. And, some of the pieces that I made, they still hang on my wall. I actually have people say to me, I would love to have that particular picture, because it, is a piece of art at this point, and they have requested for me to give it to them. Now, I have I'm very careful about who I do share those things with, because they are pieces that are very near and dear to my heart. So I do enjoy them. There's something that, because I enjoy them, I just don't just give them away either. So, I'm mindful of what I do give away. And I think that's important too. When you're creating something, I make sure that it's something that you're passionate about. Make sure it's something that brings you joy and elevates you. The other thing that I wanted to say too is that the fastest way to elevate your vibration, so if you're feeling stuck, you're feeling like you're not really sure, what to do, literally get some music going. Get some music that gives you joy and provides you joy. Get that going and play that music. pump it through your soul and just awaken your soul so that you're getting yourself out of the state that you're in and disconnecting from that state. Music is the fastest way to raise your vibration. So music can do a lot of things for us. It can, bring us down. If we're listening to a song that reminds us of something that was maybe sad in our life or a period of time that, evoke those feelings. Music can also bring us a lot of enjoyment. I mean, when we listen to songs that we dance to, maybe it was our wedding, maybe it was with our children, maybe there was a special song that you had remembered when you were, a child, or you had something that was sung to you. It brings feelings back and it brings feelings to you. And a lot of times when we're listening to music, it really can put us in a state where we remember things because, again, it's stored in our body and it will trigger us to remember things that maybe we haven't thought about in a really long time. So I know at random times I listen to a song and I think, wow, I haven't heard this song in years, but it reminds me of a date I was on, or it reminds me of being in high school, or it reminds me of when my children were small and, we were doing something. Maybe we had a family celebration or a picnic or something like that. Music really does do a lot for people. And if there's a way that you can put that into your life in a daily basis, it really, really will elevate you to a different place where you're feeling more joy, you're feeling more happiness, and despite whatever it is that's going on, it is something that literally can transform you and elevate your vibration. The vibration of the world right now, we need to be mindful of it because we really do need to live in a higher vibrating state, not living in fear, not living in a space of fear. When we live in a space of fear, that's when evil takes over. That's when the darkness takes over. That's when we go into those spaces that we don't want to live in or to be in and actually can haunt us. So remove yourself out of that state if you find yourself tiptoeing into it, or maybe you're sitting in it right now. But use these techniques, put the music on, get outside, get some sunshine, do whatever you can to detox the body, do whatever you can to shift gears and pivot and find the opportunities. So where on your vision board is there opportunities that you can revisit, that you can look at and find new ways? What is it that you're going to learn? What is it that you're going to do to learn something new? And that could be anything. Maybe that is learning how to play a musical instrument, just so that you can make a moment at any given moment to bring joy into your life. Maybe you're going to learn how to do sewing of some sort, like I did. Or maybe you're going to soul search into that creative space within you to do something else. And next week, that is our very topic. So we're going to take that deeper dive, like I said, with Priscilla. But find your space, whatever it is, find your space. And next week, Priscilla is going to come to us and help us to get into that space and use that vision board. If you've not created your vision board for 2021, please do that. We are going into the second half of the year. There's a lot of things that are still changing. There's a lot of things that are not the best for a lot of people around the world. And there's a lot of places that just may not even feel safe, right? But what can you do to create safety within your own self? What can you do to create safety within your own mind? One of the things that I've talked about several times throughout this show was your own personal healing toolbox. So be mindful of what are the things that make you feel safe, and think about what it is that you're surrounded in. Are you surrounded in an environment of things that make you happy and bring joy to you? If you're not, change it up. Are you listening to things that bring you joy? Are you listening to things that are going to feed your soul and bring your vibration up? Are you feeding your body the nourishment that it needs so that it can be healthy and remove toxins that you have in your environment, in your mind, in your present day, whatever that may mean? You may need to take an Epsom salt bath or shower at the end of the day just to help your body restore and remove the toxins. What is it that gives you comfort? Is it a cup of tea? Is it a cup of chamomile tea before you go to bed at night? And think about what it is that you're putting on your skin. Our skin is our largest organ in our entire body. And a lot of people, they dismiss that because they think of the organs being more your heart or your stomach or, the intestines, things like that. But in reality, our skin is our largest organ. So if you want to give yourself some comfort, think about what it is that you're putting on during, day to day. So are you wearing clothes that are breathable, that are comfortable? Maybe you need soft materials to provide a comforting space. Maybe you need to wear colors that are going to feel good on you. So brighter colors are going to help people feel more energy. It's going to raise their vibration. I actually have committed because, with lockdown and everything, we're not getting out as much. So I've committed that I'm going to start wearing brighter colors so that when I'm out in the world, that's what people see. I'm not going to live in fear. I encourage you not to live in fear. Bring out your best self, be your best self, and come back next week when I talk to Priscilla, where we talk about pulling out the best of you that is creative. This is Catherine Daniels. I'm reminding you to live your authentic life with peace. And as always, retreat to peace. And we'll see you.